Well, appreciate everybody taking time out of your busy schedule to meet today. This is a wonderful group. Always have a good time getting together with you all. And anyone isn't real familiar with the group, Bob and I started it over a year ago, and it's grown. It's over 160, doctors and lawyers and scientists and professor and PhDs, and we've got PharmDs that are part of this. A lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders, and we get together each week to network and refer business to each other. I love referring business. So if there's someone in my circle of influence that I can introduce you to, please just reach out to me and let me know that you'd like an introduction. Happy to do that. With Bob's help, I've grown my LinkedIn connections by over 4,000 now. And so we have, I have over 12,000 connections now there. And then towards the end of I guess middle of last year, I launched a little social media campaign on a different platform I'd never been on before, but I wanted to kind of get to individuals, not B2B, but to actual patients is who I was searching to get connected with. And I launched a little campaign just talking about some of the common side effects of that are a part of regular prescription medications that are being prescribed, and that has taken off now. Close to 120,000 patients that are following that content now there. So if I can help you in any way and get you connected with folks, Bob's also a super connector, loves connecting. But I kind of live by the principle that I learned over 30 years ago when I was doing sales. I was actually door-to-door sales in the Bay Area of California, so I got more doors slammed in my face than opened, but it was a good experience. And it's a calcifying experience, right? You got to build up some immunity to that. But I was listening to back then some tapes by Zig Ziglar. Loved listening to his sales trainings, and the one principle that's stuck with me literally for over 30 years is that you'll get all you want out of life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And then even more recently, Tony Robbins talks about the secret to living is giving. My co-host for Tuesday afternoons, Mike Hayes, has interviewed Tony Robbins personally, so that's kind of a fun story. You'll have to hear that from him sometime. But when back when we had Rolodexes and didn't have all the social media for hundreds and thousands of connections, I used to think my superpower was that I know a guy, but well, that's now expanded to several thousand guys and gals. So just let me know if I can introduce anyone to you. But each week we like to have a presenter or presenters talk to the group so we can get more in-depth information from you and what you do. And because the more we really understand each other and know what our expertise is and what we can offer to the group, easier it is for us to make an introduction or think of a referral that would be a good fit. So super excited to hear from Michelle and Tom today as they present to us. And if anyone would like to also present to the group, please reach out to me. Our next 2 weeks are filled. Bob, you're still on for next week. Does that work for you, Bob Friedenthal?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm excited.
Yeah, excellent. And then the week after that, all the way from UK to Portugal to the US, we get to hear from Elaine. She's going to present to us in 2 weeks. So excited to hear her presentation as well. And see, I wasn't teasing. Last week she came. She said, am I the only gal in a room full of blokes? I said, well, I don't take any offense to being called a bloke, but we promised that there were some gals that were a part of our group, and there actually are quite a few. So I'm glad that you get to see that Cheryl and Michelle are here. There's plenty others that I'm sure are just meeting with clients and couldn't be with us today. Let's go ahead and start this before. Actually, I'm going to stop. I'm going to start it on the cloud instead of my computer. I'm running out of space on my computer. So, but yeah, before we get into it, I want to make sure that we're also recording the presentation from Michelle and Tom, because then they can use that as a promotional tool. I'm sure we'll hear more about that from Tom and his expertise in social media, of taking little slices of the comments and the presentation today and using those as little vignettes to get out into social media. If anyone wants to know more about Shortcast, something that Bob or I could help with, I'm sure Tom's got some great insights on how to do shortcast video for YouTube and also for still the number one platform for shortcast video is still TikTok, regardless of your concerns with your information going to China. Every one of us has a smartphone, so they already have our information. So just be aware of that they can't get any more from being a part of a TikTok channel. But appreciate everybody being here today, and with that, would love to turn the time over. I think you should have capability of sharing your screen, whoever would like to, Tom or Michelle, but we'll turn some time over to you and look forward to your presentation.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. I'm going to open up my screen now. Okay, hope everyone can see the screen. Is that good?
Yep, looks great.
Okay, terrific. So thanks to everyone for giving us your time today. Michelle and I are going to co-present on the social media ethnography. After I describe the marketplace challenges it's resolving and its benefits, I'll then walk you through a live demonstration. Michelle will then finish the presentation by sharing best practices as to how the social media ethnography can be integrated into traditional qualitative and quantitative research. So first, let's discuss the challenges currently faced by market researchers. They need to explore, visualize, and understand the organic insights from B2C or B2B target audiences discussing any topic and any time frame in social media to complement their question-led primary research. Market researchers also need to meet their data integrity requirements of having their audiences identified and their unfiltered behaviors, attitudes, and characteristics analyzed at a near 100% level of accuracy. Furthermore, there has to be a large enough audience identified and analyzed to be statistically representative, which means a minimum of 100 unique individuals leaving qualified opinions on the research topic in a given time period. Yet, even if the accuracy and statistical representation requirements are met, market researchers need a solution that synthesizes and visualizes these social media audience insights in order to seamlessly integrate them with their quantitative and/or qualitative research findings. The key benefits are threefold for market researchers. They can qualitatively learn the lay of the land on entire product categories with greater confidence, including discovering which competitors are being mentioned on specific topics, the conversational themes they care about, and how those themes are prioritized and trending in any time period. They can understand their target audiences at a higher level of confidence by discovering the organic behaviors, attitudes, psychographics, and demographics of audience segments and personas. And by seeing the unfiltered words and emotional tone organically expressed by these audiences specific to a topic, they can act on those insights by optimizing the language used in marketing messaging and content creation. These key benefits from the social media ethnography enable organizations to make better business decisions more effectively and confidently. So we're now going to experience a real-time demonstration of a social media ethnography. So you'll see that we're illustrating a subject that we can all relate to, music. In particular, the brand we were working with wanted to explore, visualize, and understand the organic insights of guitar enthusiasts, broken out into segments, including being passionate about guitars to the extent of playing gigs and creating their own music professionally or non-professionally, as well as being on top of guitar and music trends and technology. The brand was looking to integrate these unfiltered insights from social media with those received from their traditional quantitative research. You'll see that the methodology employed meets the best-in-class data integrity requirements of the market research industry. We first created a research-driven taxonomy to generate a best-in-class query to pull social media data from a leading social intelligence platform over a 6-month time frame from July 23rd to December 23rd, 2023. This query then pulled the most comprehensive and relevant data on guitar enthusiasts across major social channels, such as Reddit, X, or formerly Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You'll see that a universe of 306,451 mentions were quantified from this query during this time frame. But this universe of 306,000 plus mentions includes many audiences, including articles from journalists, press releases from brands, and comments from guitar retailers. To find a statistically representative audience of 102 guitar enthusiasts, as we've defined them, expressing qualified opinions, we manually identify them at near 100% level of accuracy from a randomized sample export of 50,000 mentions from this total universe of mentions. We then applied best-in-class qualitative marketing research methodologies to manually code this audience, also at a near 100% level of accuracy. Finally, we brought this organic audience of guitar enthusiasts to life in a storytelling, interactive dashboard that we're now going to explore in real time. This dashboard represents absolute discovery. The brand we were working with, nor we as market researchers, had no idea which competing brands in the top left here would be mentioned the most. Also, we went into this with the hypothesis that the top brands such as Fender and Gibson and Yamaha would be mentioned, but we discovered that there were other brands mentioned in the context of these top brands. We discovered what themes they cared about to the right here and prioritized. We also discovered what kinds of guitars that they referenced, the sources of the social data, where these conversations were actually taking place, the not only general sentiment, but the tone, the emotional tone of these conversations specific to the topic itself of these guitar enthusiasts. And then to the extent that we could get information, demographic information, and the reason why we couldn't get all demographic information is because there is a distribution of channels such as Reddit where we may not be able to get the demographics as we can see if we were to look at just video as part of this ethnography. Now, there are many stories to explore in this dashboard. To facilitate this exploration, market researchers can first get a summary of what is being said in each theme in the context of the entire product category. So let's take a look at the first theme, sound. When you hover over sound, you'll see that 62 of the 102 guitar enthusiasts were talking about sound. Now, there are many descriptions around this, right? So to get a story on all 62 verbatims around sound, you'll see at the top that we provide an overall understanding on the themes and the sub-themes in which you can get a more holistic story to start with. So if we look at the first under sound, if you look at the first sub-theme, variation in sound between guitars, this tells us that different types of guitars such as Stratocasters and Gibsons, have a variety in tone and sound quality across different models, and that one guitar enthusiast in particular noted their preference for Japanese Fenders due to their sound, appearance, and good value. Once we have the product category story on the theme and sub-themes, we can then go back to the dashboard to explore. So if we click on sound, you'll notice all the categories change according to those 62 guitar enthusiasts. So whereas Gibson was second before at 30.39% in overall mentions, for the theme of sound, it is now the third most talked about, behind Fender, which is now at 22.55%, and the other brands that were mentioned in the context of sound. So what if we want to explore now more specifically those guitar enthusiasts mentioning the theme sound, but talking about other brands than the ones that we previously hypothesized going into this analysis? So if we click on that, we are now going to bring to life these 16 of the 102 guitar enthusiasts that were speaking about the theme sound, but specific to other brands. And just as we saw before, that we could see the types of guitars they're talking about, where these conversations are taking place, the tone specific to sound as it relates to these other brands, and the distribution. We can also read the verbatims from these 16 individuals, just as we can for any other theme that we dive into. So for example, if we click on this one brand, we can actually go right to the community and read the actual verbatim, not only giving the transparency that market researchers want, but we can also get even more context to explore the community around this given post, whether it be what led to this post or what followed from this post, adding to more insight and more understanding of the segment itself. So what we're going to do now is Michelle is going to share with you, I can put this back in presentation mode, how the social media ethnography is applied in practice. Michelle?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Tom. So just to lay a little bit of context around what Tom has just presented, this type of research is exploratory in nature. It's not intended to be data that provides go, no-go answers to companies so that they can make large investments. It's intended to lay the groundwork for subsequent research like quantitative studies. So for example, the different types of studies that we might use this for would include things like problem detection research, which allows us to understand which problems people are encountering with different product categories, the degree to which they occur, the frequency, and the magnitude of the problem. So what we might find in problem detection research, and we probably should stop that little animation from running crazy like that. We'll remember for the next time, Tom. With problem detection, we can, in the marketplace, understand what people are talking about as being problematic. Particularly, let's look at guitars, for example. Like, where are they encountering problems? What are the topics that they're talking about in a negative way? In problem detection research, we're trying to help companies identify problems, which then lay the groundwork for developing new products and services to solve those problems. So problem detection research is a perfect application for the type of work that Tom does. And we would work collaboratively in that way so that I could develop a good solid list of problems, understand which are the most problematic and are experienced with the most frequency. And then for market structure analysis, and I'm not going to go through all these, but these are just two examples. Market structure analysis is where a company is interested in entering a marketplace, but doesn't understand the lay of the land. So for example, who are the primary competitors? What are their strengths and weaknesses? What are people talking about out there with respect to these brands? What are the characteristics that people care about and don't care about? And so through social media ethnography, we can then take that information, develop a very solid questionnaire that we can then use to quantify this information and develop what we call a perceptual map of the marketplace, which is literally mapping an entire category with competitors, attributes, who owns what space, and where might there be white space for a new marketer to enter the market. Those are just a few little examples, but there are obviously a million applications. This is just a short list, but that's how we might use it. And Tom, anything else?
Yeah, no, that's it for our presentation. So we'd like to open up the what we just shared to the floor to see if there are any comments, questions, or thoughts.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. That's first question, Elaine.
So what type of clients do you currently have, and who are your target audience?
Yeah, great question. I've been working on this for almost 17 years now, and I know Michelle from the beginning of this journey. What I've seen is that really wherever there is a B2B or B2C audience, which is pretty much applicable to just about any industry, this applies. So especially with the channels and the extent to which social media utilization has increased over the years, even in the most difficult audiences, there's still maybe influencers that are expressing themselves. They may be writing articles, they may be blogs, right? So there's once you start getting to a certain number of people, it gets difficult to understand the story and to analyze that. It's where you need the qualitative market research to synthesize and visualize that. So in short, there hasn't been an industry or a topic that I have come across that this does not apply to. Right. So to answer your question most succinctly, essentially every industry and every category applies. And I work with clients across the spectrum, from CPGs to entertainment to manufacturing, you name it.
I was going to say, Tom, and Elaine, it's a great question, and we work globally too, just so you know, because I know you're abroad. So I don't know, you're not abroad, you are living abroad.
I'm both, Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest categories to get at might be something along the lines of like really heavy duty industrial products, like, major, possibly even like, tooling, manufacturing types of products, if you want to call it, like equipment. And there's probably not a ton going on in social media in those kinds of categories, but there very well may be, because everything is moving into the social media space.
Right.
Did that answer your question, Elaine?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, good.
Yeah, just to complement that, and I think this is actually kind of ties to what something Brett mentioned before about TikTok. No matter what industry one may be in, the audiences, even if whether it's a consumer or buyers, they are residing in channels, if they are Gen Z or millennials, increasingly in video-based channels such as TikTok and YouTube. So it really is more of a way of thinking of in any industry, how do I reach my audience? Where is my audience? And they increasingly have to be looking at these channels, especially where younger audiences are residing, to communicate with them. So that's why I think you're increasingly seeing, even in examples where in the past it would be like, yeah, I don't think we're going to really find too many people speaking to be useful. I think that is changing because of the speed at which some of these channels have emerged, like TikTok, in just roughly 6 or 7 years is now about 1.1 billion users. That's just unbelievable, right? And so because of that, I think finding audiences, no matter how difficult that may have been considered previously, is a lot more easy to do in some of these other channels.
Right.
Excellent, excellent. Other questions?
Yeah, thank you both for that. I'm confused, but look, that's nothing new. There was a lot of information there. And what was going through my head at the time was, so you have brands and then you have brand loyalty.
Mhm.
And this is what I always do, and this is how I'm going to keep doing it. And my dad did this, so I'm going to do it. And but it's now with TikTok and all the social media, there are younger people coming along, and how do you join that up?
How do you join? Sorry, one more time. How do you join what? The conversation?
How do you join? How do you get new customers or get a new audience interested in not just an established brand, but a brand that you want to become more popular?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this gets into some of the benefits that we talked about in this ethnography, social media ethnography. One, when you reach out to an audience, you got to make sure your messaging, your content resonates with them. And to do that, you have to understand how they speak, right? So the organic conversations, these unfiltered conversations, give you that pure voice of the target audience in a way that you cannot get with traditional market research, which makes this so complementary. Then with a more precise, and this is just one example, right? I mean, Michelle talked about other ways to reach the audience and to convert them, but the messaging and the content that you provide is so critical. And once you are able to do that, then you are bringing them in, then you are providing or implementing a variety of marketing tactics, from digital to traditional, online, offline, to essentially get that target audience that's now receiving your message from the upper end of that funnel down to ultimately a conversion where they become a customer. Michelle, did you want to add anything to that?
I do, because Patrick, first of all, you said you were confused, so we'll address confusion after we address the second question, which is how do you get these people converted to customers? Because what Tom can do is tell you not only what they're talking about, which will guide your messaging, what they like and dislike, which will help you refine your product, or at least what you're going to be saying about it, and where to find them. So where are they talking, right? So where are they communicating with the larger population? So are they on Reddit? Are they on TikTok? So all of that information is valuable for a marketer who needs to direct their messaging to their audience, because you know where to find them now.
Right,
so
right.
That's a really important piece of this. But let's go back to your question or statement, which was that you were confused. What is confusing, so that we can help you, because we need to also refine our presentation.
Yeah, I found it, of course, I know nothing about this, right? I found it convoluted and a lot of detail, and a lot of detail. And then I was thinking, you have people who are having good experiences with products as they are. So when they share that positive experience, do you also survey that and why they're expressing these positive experiences or negative experiences, and calculate, why is this?
What is the question?
When people are having a positive experience or a negative experience, do you leverage that in a way that will benefit the data?
Well, it's aggregated data and reported in summary form. So what we're looking for we're looking for information that's going to inform future work. So if they're having a positive experience, we want to know that as well. If we're having a negative experience, we want to know that as well.
Okay, thank you.
everything that we can learn about the marketplace is helpful for our clients.
May I share my screen real quick? Let me,
Yeah,
this
sure.
might help. This might help just get some basic information, Patrick, that really resonates, right? So just from some really basic information, the last 60 days, 116,852 people following this content. But look at this demographics here. 78% are female, only 22%. So if I was really pitching, Armand's program, this wouldn't be the right audience right here, because over half of them are female. And then look at the age range. I know I shouldn't be, doing things that are, focused at an 18-year-old. My demographic it's 35 to 44 here. And then I'm hitting the right target, right? Because my services can only be provided today in the US. So good, 80% are in the US. I still care about people's opinion in the UK, Canada, Australia, the 1% in South Africa. But this is my target audience because that's where I can offer my services today. I can even go down to the city. So I should be thinking about my wellness clinics in, Dallas and Houston are the two top targets. Then Chicago should be the next target. So that's just one tool, right? Just one analysis. Tom or Michelle, do you have a tool that goes in and scoops that from all these different platforms?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So at Northstar, we are platform agnostic. We ourselves have invested in a platform that typically when we work with brands, they're all working with the top Forrester ranked platforms. So like Quid used to be NetBase. The NetBase bought Quid. Now they're branded as Quid. Brandwatch is another popular one. Meltwater, Talkwalker, Sprinkler. These are some of the top brands that people are more familiar with. But there are many other platforms out there that pull, social media. And what they're doing this is where you kind of get into this, artificial intelligence and machine learning. They for the last 20 years, when they first started coming into the market, they have developed the term, I don't know if it's still used, but crawling the data, where they basically have algorithms that are going into millions of sites within these channels. And they have relationships with them. There is permission. So this is all public domain. And they're pulling the data on regular basis. It may vary, but typically it's daily, if not more frequently than that. And then they bring that data into, think about like this huge data lake. And then depending upon how you want to access that data is really based on the query that you create, right? And so we create a comprehensive query to find guitar enthusiasts. But if we wanted another query on healthcare specific to workers' compensation, for example, that'd be a separate query. We'd be diving into that same data lake of all that information being pulled, but the query would pull those expressions from that query that are tied to that query. Now, as I mentioned before, there are many audiences within that. That's kind of like you're going to get a marketplace, which is still meaningful, right? But then if you want to dive down more deeply, is what we're talking about, then this is where the social media ethnography comes in. But the combination of the marketplace and then the audience specific, along with traditional quant and qual, the whole point is to get a better holistic story to make better decisions. And some of the things that you just brought out are really meaningful from a marketing standpoint, to Patrick's point. Even knowing like who's driving the conversation here, right? That's kind of fascinating. So Breck mentioned there are about 100,000 plus mentions, but there are probably maybe like 20 to 30 that are actually driving that. Who are they? right? And same thing with the social media ethnography. We actually know like who's really driving these conversations on particular themes. Being able to take that and then extrapolate that and to learn from that from a marketing standpoint is all about ultimately getting results for companies and brands, you know, to engage those folks, to learn from those folks, and to ultimately make them become customers.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Other questions for Tom or Michelle? Mike.
Yeah, I have one. How does this relate to SEO in terms of, well, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
good
do.
question.
It's a great question, Mike, and I'll just expand on that just a bit, just so people know what the context of your question is. So, SEO is, I mean, it technically means search engine optimization, but more kind of conversationally, it really is measuring how people are searching for terms and expressions, like in Google or in Amazon or in Bing, right? So it's a different kind of activity here. It's actually more of an active analysis, right? What are people searching for, and how do you measure that, right? The difference here is that we are not capturing what people are searching for. We're capturing what they're simply just talking about. It is active in the sense that they're going into forums, they're going into YouTube, and they are conversing, right? They're commenting on people's videos. They are setting up Reddits and saying, "What do you think about this?" Or they're commenting on that. That's the difference. This is more of the organic conversation that we're capturing versus the search activity in terms of what people are searching for. Does that make sense?
Sure it does.
But they're complementary, right? So again, this is all part of the whole story. If you're a brand, you want to know, hey, what are some of the more common expressions that are organically being said or themes? And now I want to know, what are the common expressions and themes that are searched for?
So Tom, just to kind of blend the two conversations, right?
Yeah.
So once you do your discovery, right, and you come up with a major theme, could a company then take that information and revert and kind of like close the circle and use those themes to help refine their SEO for their company?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
come back and
it totally does, because what we're able to do is we're able to prioritize the themes and the messaging around those themes, and at the highest level of confidence, so they can take that and then test that in messaging or in search. Keep something in mind too. A couple of things. One of the things that we're able to do here is we're getting insights on an entire product category. It's really hard to get the way that people organically talk about things in comparative levels and discover that. And we only showed you one time frame. So it gets really interesting when you start looking at multiple time frames and how the audience taking the same topic, how distinct statistically represented audiences are talking. Are those themes over periods of time? Are they holding steady? Are they the same priorities? And that also gives you an even higher level of confidence to take it back full circle and start testing in terms of how you refine your search, how you refine your messaging, et cetera.
and just from a market research perspective, and I'll just try and wrap it up here, I'm sure other people have questions, but no, seriously, if you have a marketing campaign and you can, you have like a calendar, right, of what you're doing over time. If you have a blitz, let's say it's a media blitz in the marketplace, and you want to see whether or not that impacts what's going on in social media and whether or not it's changing what people are talking about, you can align that. So if you say, okay, I had a blitz on February 15th, what were people talking about what I'm advertising about, what I'm promoting? And you can see whether or not what you're doing is having an impact on what's going on in the marketplace. That is one of, I think one of the coolest things is that it's real time, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to see, oh, what am I doing? Is it impacting the messaging or what people are talking about? So I think it's directly related. Yeah.
And as Breck pointed out, then you can actually look at who is being resonated by that. You know, summing up the people who are talking about it, and even getting insights into what they look like and what their followers are, and then takes that even to a more precise level of targeting and messaging and marketing that is, again, complementary to these other traditional methods that are in the marketplace.
Yep. Excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
We have time for another question, Breck?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I thought that was really cool stuff. I mean, it's definitely, it's complicated, and it seems like it's a really great approach, and you should be doing very well with that approach. You're welcome. You talked about you want to get feedback on your presentation. I thought I would give you just a little bit about that, if that's
Thank you.
Yeah, we
okay.
definitely want it. We want it.
Yeah.
Well, so you have a very complicated subject matter. The subject matter, I think, is very complicated, right?
Mhm.
And so when I deal in holistic health and chronic pain elimination, and everything, I'm also dealing with some complicated information, right? So what I'm making, I want to make a suggestion. And by the way, I was really horrendously distracted during your presentation. I was doing like 50 things, and I just wanted to hear it. So I got to hear it. So if what I'm
Thank you.
saying is not relevant, then just ignore it. But you might want to consider giving the vision of what you can, in summary terms, right up front. Like,
Mhm.
what we're going to show you is point number one, and just make it the most incredible point, because you got
Mhm.
incredible points. But I think
Mhm.
you rolled into the data so fast that
Mhm. Mhm.
point number one, and then we're going to show you point number two, and then people are going to salivate. And then we're going to do point number three, and
No
then
one's
4 or
salivating,
5.
yeah.
So this is what I'm going to show you. Now, you ready to get
Yeah.
into this? And
Yeah.
then you say, okay, because then they can relate everything you're saying back to those initial points. So that's just something
Got
to
it.
think about.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I also have feedback in my notes that we can refine as I was watching the presentation. So yeah, thank you.
Good.
Very
Nice.
good.
And thanks,
Excellent.
Elaine, for those additional comments. Thank you.
Yeah, and any
Yeah,
of
I
you
don't
who,
know if-
I'm sorry, I was just going to put my email address in the chat.
Oh,
Yep.
And let everybody know that if you have any other feedback and feel like sharing it with us, I put mine in, and you can put
Yeah.
Tom's in.
Sure. I can put mine in
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
We're
Yeah,
always-
a wonderful
always-
presentation. I don't
We're
know if
always
everyone,
open.
I don't know if everyone caught this, but Elaine used to manage a band, and her former husband was a guitarist, so bass guitar player. So it was a very relevant topic and research, and it was fun for me too, because we used to always take people to the Gibson factory there in Memphis when we spent time out in the Mid-South. So it was kind of fun to see what that statistics.
There was one word that caught my attention that made me remember, and it was fret. Well, most people wouldn't know what a fret is, but I cannot watch any musician now of any instrument, particularly guitars, with looking at the frets where they hold their hand. I can tell if they're self-taught or they've been guided and mentored or whatever. So I find watching a band, I don't do it very often these days. I don't go to many live gigs. But yeah, I find it fascinating. So Brian is a 6-string fretless bass player, and he got his basses made. He would choose the wood, and then the guy would make the bass guitar to his specification.
Wow.
Amazing,
Wow.
absolutely amazing.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah.
Now do you see these young
Elaine.
kids that don't even, they're playing everywhere on it and tapping it and just making an entire orchestra out of one instrument. It's crazy.
My son is a fretless bass player too.
Awesome.
and he-
How many strings?
6.
Oh, awesome. But very
Yeah.
few people at that level. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.